UCF went 5-3 last year. Good enough to get Josh Heupel the job at Tennessee. 6-4 overall. And Gus Malzahn arrives to take over this Knights program. I kind of think that with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, with Gus Malzahn there, like are the Knights going to be a favorite in most conference games that they play? I would assume so. Like, I am looking at UCF as a potential bounce back team, considering that last year's 5-3 conference record, 6-4 overall record, is going to be something that can be improved on from a winning percentage. So where are the questions for Gus Malzahn here in year one, spring one with the Knights?
I mean, thankfully, Gus brings that defensive prowess that he had at Auburn, putting together those great defenses, because I think UCF's defense needs to take a step forward. That was like the one thing from that bowl game against BYU. They just got ripped apart. And I think that needs to take a step forward this year. They do lose, I think, quite a bit from that defense. And I think that this is a situation where maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, some new blood stepping in and taking over. But I mean, I think UCF is a talented roster. It's a talented team. And I think that Gus is a good fit for what UCF has on the roster and where they want to go. But I don't think this is a UCF team that's going to win the conference this year. I think that Gus is probably, I think that Dylan Gabriel can work in Gus's offense. I think that I think in a way, Gus has to let Dylan Gabriel do things that he didn't really let some of his Auburn QBs do. Like, I think that he's got to open some stuff up as far as what he wants his offense to be with his quarterback, and give Gabriel a little bit more freedom, because I do think that he's got an excellent arm, particularly downfield. And I think that that's something that they need to take advantage of for that offense to be at full capacity. So I think that's going to be interesting, seeing how Gabriel fits in Gus's offense this spring, and them trying to get, in mesh together and working together there. And I think that's going to be the thing that I'm most focused on, as well as just some improvement, particularly on the defensive front. I just did not feel like when I watched UCF last year that there was a whole lot up there, that, they didn't win a whole lot of battles based on what I saw. And I think that they need to start winning battles, because the way that team recruits in relation, with where it's located within its conference, within that state, I feel like UCF should have a better defensive front than it had last year. That's just, maybe that's not fair, but that's just how I feel. And I think that I want to see that kind of improvement.
I think the key word there, Tom, is should.
Yeah.
Right? Like, UCF fans are going to look back on the Josh Heupel tenure and say, damn, that was a huge missed opportunity. Like, we were constantly in the national headlines. We were going 12-0 or 11-1, 10-2, and we didn't recruit the state of Florida for worth a damn. They should, in theory, be better on the defensive line, but in practice, they didn't sign studs. They weren't landing kids who, I don't think they're going to beat out Miami or Florida State or Florida for anybody anytime soon, and they basically never ever do. But they should have beaten out kids who liked Purdue and Minnesota and maybe NC State once in a while, or teams sort of in that range, and they simply didn't. Really, never on defense. And so that's a concern that is continuing. I definitely think UCF will recruit a whole lot better under Gus, and he'll have some playing time to sell, I would think, because Heupel's recruiting at UCF was quite disappointing. My concern, I'm going to go to the other side of the ball, if I can for a minute. Man, they lose a ton at receiver, right? Like, I'm looking at this. Marlon Williams is listed as gone. Trey Nixon, Jacob Harris, and then also Otis Anderson, who was kind of that running back / slot type. I mean, Marlon Williams caught 71 balls. Jacob Harris caught 30. Trey Nixon caught 19. I mean, that's three of their top four receivers who are gone. That's a pretty big deal for an offense that really likes chucking around. So I'm curious as to see what this thing will actually look like this year. But I still think this program has a ton of built-in advantages over the rest of the league, and I actually believe that this program's ceiling is higher than Cincinnati's ceiling if they're both operating at peak efficiency. And implied in that, I think, is that you are mining your home region and state's talent to maximum effect, given your resources, which UCF has not done.
Without a doubt. I mean, Orlando, Florida, like if they're both running at 100%, UCF is beating Cincinnati in American Athletic Conference championship games.
I mean, they're happy to have Heupel gone.
Yeah.
Like everybody I talked to. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. You got the UCF group chat.
Yeah.
Neighborhood group chat just filled with Knights. Yeah, Nitro actually lives right down the street.
Nitro White babysits on Fridays.
Yeah. Nitro babysits during the couples golf tournaments. That's
a friend of mine was giving my son, who's not quite 2 years old yet, some UCF branded logo golf balls, and it's like, oh, these are TPX 5s. Like these are going to go in Daddy's bag right here, and you had this kind of scrounge bucket over here. We're not hitting these into the street.
Balls.
Yeah,
exactly.